SG Reads.
Hello fellow travelers, my name's SG and welcome to the channel. Today, I want to continue on with our journey through the ARG or the analog horror genre, and considering that it is the 25th anniversary of the South Park movie, I thought it'd be fun to look at the lesser known South Park analog horror series, and I thought it'd be fun just to talk about it, theorize on it, and see what it's about. So, without further ado, let's get started, shall we? But before we do that, please, I would really appreciate it if you like, comment, subscribe down below if you like this video, and if you like my content so far. The support I've been getting for the Bat analog horror video I have has been amazing, and if any of you are watching this that watch that, I really appreciate it, and thank you very much for all the love for it. And yeah, hopefully we can continue on. If there's any other analog horrors or ARGs you want me to look into, do a quick theory or just a quick retrospective, please let me know down in the comments below, and I'll get to it when I get to it. Or when I can get to it, at least. That's what I should say. Thanks anyway, and let's get started. Alright, we start off with episode 1. This is a series from the Beyond Birth YouTube channel. It's just known as the South Park Analog Horror Series. And you can tell that the first episode, which is just a darker version of the episode Kenny is Dead, where Kenny dies permanently for at least a season or two, if I can remember correctly. It was a very impactful season for the most part, and this is just taking it to a darker degree, especially for Stan's character, because Stan did take a harsher time in that episode, so much so that he gives into his depression in this one. And then we go into the corrupted South Park VHS tape, where we finally realize where that first one came from, and it's a corrupted tape that somebody found along the way. Here we get the Hell on Earth 2000. The episode starts with the boys summoning Biggie Smalls back from the dead, as kind of like this Bloody Mary ritual thing. And then we also go into the next episode, which is Kenny's Torment, which is talking about Kenny feeling, since his death, lost in the void, and is angry about it. Then we go to Cartman's Revenge, which is another episode called the Osimo episode, where Butters reveals an embarrassing film of Cartman singing a pop song to a stand-in, which I will not talk about right now, and which leads him to become some sort of creature, some sort of monster, to attack Butters later that night. We then go into a more story-driven, more real-world analog style, with the South Park broadcast murder, which is talking more about the idea that there's been strings of murders or children being disturbed by something, and that they all have this same reaction or the same view of what it is that's attacking them. We don't get much more than the images shown, but we then go into the Kyle's demise, which is coming off of the other series or the other videos. And it's about Kyle talking about his depression, that all his friends are now gone. And we can assume that Cartman from Cartman's Revenge is also deceased at this point, like Stan and Kenny. And we do see that that was the ultimate fate of Kyle at the end too, but we do get a different look. And then we get Ike's Tragedy as the next episode, which suggests that it came shortly after Back for Ike, Kyle's little brother. The last entry we have, this is Butters VR Adventure, and that one seems to be more towards the joking aspect of it. Or is it? That one's hard to say, because we do get a small clip of a creature talking to us about the idea of attention waning. Alright, now that we've talked about it, let's talk about what I always talk about when we do analog horrors. Who made the video and who put it out? Obviously, we can tell that the videotapes are the cause of all this. We do know that there are several times throughout the series where it talks about children going missing or something bad happening to them. And that's talked in both present tense and past tense, meaning that this has happened before or has been happening, but just not in a second. That tells me that these tapes, these corrupted tapes, have existed for a minute. We don't know who by, or we don't know what for. But we do know that it is an adult who has this, who's putting this out on YouTube. He wants people to find out what's happening, what's going on with these tapes. And we can tell that his curiosity about these South Park tapes have ultimately taken the life of his son shortly after. Because we do get a short image of that, which I will not show. I do say to get the full respect and aspect of this series, please go back to the original channel. I will leave it in the description and in the comment section down below, so you feel free to check it out when you want. But for right now, what I can say is that the last victim, or at least the one that restarted this whole thing, is the son to the person who owns these tapes currently and is putting them out. Now, from that point on, we just don't know who made the tapes or what the tapes are about. But I do have a theory, which will come up right now, actually. Now, let's talk about the order of which these videos are placed, because they are placed out of order, in my belief. This does play into the overall story and arching themes of it. And I would have to say that the very first video that should be in the timeline would have to be Corrupted South Park VHS tapes, because that really takes off where the story starts, I guess you could say. Or at least not the start of it, but rather it's the middle to Stan's grieving, the very first episode in this series. That it should be placed somewhere between the very end and to where we see Kenny dies. That will make sense in a minute. And then following that should be Kenny's torment, followed by the rest going on from that point, pretty much chronologically as it is. It's just, if we get it that way, the storyline then starts making a little more sense in what we're seeing and what the creator is trying to represent. So for right now, we'll be talking about what does this mean in the world of South Park, and then what does it mean in the real world as they know it. Right off the bat, I knew a lot of these episodes already, and I knew that they weren't exactly in a chronological order, nor were they really in a specific season, but that seems to be on purpose. This is telling the story of the death of Kenny, just in a darker sense. This is saying that Stan is grieving the loss of Kenny at this point, and Corrupted South Park VHS tapes seem to suggest that maybe they tried to summon him, try to talk to him, and that ultimately failed or did bring him back to the living world, and it made Kenny get lost in this, because we do see a lot of his tombstones throughout the series, and we do get this idea that he is here, but he's confused and lost and doesn't really understand what's happening, turning him into a vengeful spirit kind of thing. Or it may not even be Kenny. It could be something that's taken possession of his appearance, a demon if you will. And with that, we see that he has gone on to collect the souls of Stan, and it looks willingly for Cartman's side, just to get revenge on Butters. And ultimately, he's there to collect the spirits of Stan, Kyle, Cartman, and Kenny, along with really not knowing what happened to Butters. But we do understand that it was sad. And Kyle, not willing to leave his little brother, Ike shortly joined them after. And that's pretty much where we end the storyline so far, as of right now. But we then go on to what this means, because there is this difference between what's happening in the show, or in these VHS tapes, and what's happening in the real world, because there are a string of mysteries happening in the real world as we know it. Now, in the real world, we are getting this idea that there is a string of murders, or at least missing and traumatized children everywhere. And this seems to coincide with the South Park series somehow, because we do know that there was a sort of malfunction with the main studio, as we get a quick notice from Comedy Central that they have been either hacked or a certain episode that was not supposed to be shown has been shown. Now, I don't think that means that someone at Comedy Central was putting out a bad episode or anything like that, kind of like an old creepypasta, but much more that it was this idea that it mirrored pretty much what happened in the VHS tapes, there was a loss of something. Somebody lost maybe a friend, maybe a child, something along those lines. And they tried to summon him, ended up summoning a demon. And they ended up being the victims, a lot like Stan, Cartman, and Kyle. And that just led to a whole other list of victims along the way. And those that did survive ended up seeing this dark, demon-like shadow creature. So, whoever it was ended up pushing it, this creature, this entity, into a VHS tape of the South Park episodes that we are currently seeing. Whether it be the spirit of a friend of theirs or a demon, it seems to want to tell its story. It wants to tell what happened, but using clips and images and twisting the narrative of these episodes to tell the audience or to tell the viewer that this is happening and it's going to keep happening over and over again as long as you play the tapes. And we do see it happen again with the viewer's son. It is a sad and tragic moment, but it is interesting that this entity, maybe it's the spirit of one of the children along with this creature, or maybe it's something else. But we do know that viewing this tape, or at least viewing the original episodes when they aired, did cause this to happen. Because, like I said, with the Butters VR last episode, we do get that small bit of a demon saying that it was the attention span of children that brought him about. So there is a lot of leeway in that, and it does have a very interesting and weird connection that is yet to be discovered. It hasn't uploaded in a minute, but I think it is a lot worth seeing, and it is a fun thing to speculate. So all in all, this is just telling the story of a group of kids that lost a friend, wanted to see him one more time, apologize, maybe not saying goodbye at the right time, but then accidentally getting him stuck and summoning something along with him. Something that shouldn't have. Something that affected them all and collected them all. And how it either was forced out or pushed itself into this broadcasting system. It spread like a virus and affected anyone it could, only to be taken down by somebody, an unknown source, or maybe the studio itself, and was later on discovered as a lost episode of South Park, either as an alternate ending to the Kenny is Dead, or maybe as just a VHS tape purchased at, I don't know, maybe a half price store, or maybe something along those lines. And with that, Hell on Earth came again, just like the episode predicted. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this quick video. This was a fun one. I do suggest going to go see it. I will leave the original video down in the comment section. Please, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it myself. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and can't wait to see you guys next time. Happy birthday, South Park movie. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks again, and see you next time.